Hi guys, Frank here, and this is what it's like to go Corona shopping on the Isle of Man. So after about a week at home, our supplies were starting to run a little bit low, and it was time to make a big shopping list and head down to the supermarket. Now my first thought was, what time should I actually go there? Because I had seen the pictures on Facebook of people queuing for hours outside of Tesco and ShopRite. I settled for early afternoon today on a Friday, so I went to Tesco around 2 p.m. Turned out that was a really good move because there were about 5 people in front of me. It took me about 5 minutes to get inside. Everything's very well organized. People are queuing, people are really disciplined, friendly, keeping their distance. There's plenty of staff at hand to direct people around. So it's well organized and people are behaving really well largely. Once inside, because Tesco only allows, someone said 50, someone else said 80 people at a time, so there's plenty of space. It's easy to keep your distance, the 2 meter distance. There's markings on the floor. The one in, one out system also seems to work really well. Probably most importantly, stock levels are really high. So there's absolutely no reason to worry or to rush down there or think you're not going to get what you need. The shelves are full, the supply lines are clearly still working, everything's in stock, even toilet paper. I'm afraid if you were trying to cash in on the toilet roll black market, then your Andrex shares just took a dive. There is a little bit of a strange atmosphere, I'll admit that. Some people seem a bit nervous or maybe anxious. I wouldn't call it fearful, but there's a certain anxiety in the air, and I think that is very normal. There's a sort of a bit of a wartime feel because we are at war with this virus and it affects the way we live our lives, and it has a kind of that little bit of a feel to it. Most people are taking it serious and keeping their distance. There's always a few who don't, which is very annoying, but by and large people were really good, and especially staff as well, super friendly, seem to work really hard to keep things stocked up. The only observations I do have do actually concern the staff at Tesco. The first observation is that, and this is because they are at work, they still seem to be very close together at times, and I guess that is completely normal. When you're at work, you have to talk to your colleagues, right? So I guess it's just a risk, which leads me to my second observation. Not a single staff member was wearing a face mask. Now, some people say wearing a face mask doesn't bring anything, to which I say you're wrong. Anyone who's ever worked in an Asian office, and I've spent a lot of time in Asia, will know that face masks work. Corona or not, they just work. When I worked in Manila in a big open office, um, when you were sick or you felt a little under the weather, you would put on a face mask. You would get a surgical one. Normally they're easy to get. And you wore that in the office so you don't spread your own bacteria. Now here it probably works both ways. So if you have it, wearing one prevents you from, transmitting it to others. But also, if you work in a supermarket and you come in touch with hundreds of people a day, you reduce your risk of breathing it in. So, it's an absolute no-brainer. Whenever possible, do wear a mask. And anyone who says you shouldn't or it doesn't do anything is simply wrong. It's as simple as that. So it would be nice to see more of the staff wearing masks for their own protection and the protection of others, because it is one of the central, or the very few points where we as citizens, as residents here interact with each other right now. Otherwise, we're just all stuck at home, right? The other thing I noticed was that checkout staff seem to be the most at risk because they literally have hundreds of people walking past them every day and they talk to them. And even though there are markings at the checkout as well that, you're not supposed to stand right in front of the person, you still have to talk to the checkout person. You have air conditioned currents going through. So if someone, was to cough or was to, I don't know, spit or something, they are not really protected. So maybe they should consider something that I have seen on the news in Germany, where many supermarkets are now installing Perspex shields at supermarket checkouts. And they literally just get a big sheet of Perspex, put it between the cashier and the customer to create a barrier, a physical barrier that you can still look through, but it prevents bacteria, fluids, if someone coughs or sneezes or something, from reaching the checkout person. And I think that's a very simple and wonderful idea to keep them a little bit safer. It would literally be just a matter of going down to Signrite, getting some Perspex, get a couple of screws and be done with it. This should be an afternoon's worth of work. And I think it would really, make things safer for checkout staff. In general, honestly, Corona shopping or, shopping under quarantine or whatever we want to call it these days, very relaxed, nothing to worry about. Choose your timing. So obviously, if you go Saturday, Sunday, I expect you will have to queue for a long time. It turned out if you go early afternoon, I went around 2 p.m. It was super easy, little queue, everything's relaxed, everything's fine. Keep in mind, this is still only a temporary thing. We seem to be doing all right on the Isle of Man on the Corona front right now. And let's hope that it continues and that we go back to normal as soon as possible. Having seen, how nice and civilized and well regulated and well working things are at Tesco today, as something as basic as shopping, gives me great hope that we'll be out of the worst very soon, and we'll hopefully get back to our normal lives where we can go to Tesco every day and buy all the things we really don't need instead of just once a week. If anything good comes from this, then it really does make you think what you do need to buy from a supermarket if you only go once a week. So maybe this will also change our behavior as humans and the way we live as a society when we go forward, when this is all over. And we're going to get through this. It's temporary, so let's stick together and let's do this.